Hey everyone, this is Charlie the Plug, your host of the Detroit Metro Plug podcast, powered by Empower You Ventures. Don't forget to subscribe so you too can be a part of the biggest empowerment network on YouTube and Facebook. We bring you weekly interviews of Detroit difference makers in the area of entrepreneurship, community involvement, also reaction to business news and community news. This does not happen without your support. Thank you. All right, welcome to another episode of the Detroit Metro Plug podcast. I am Charlie McKay, known as Charlie the Plug on this platform. And so we just want to welcome you live on our various platforms on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Episode 156. So shoot out some horns for that. I'm excited about tonight's topic because we're here in Detroit and we feature what we call Detroit difference makers every week in the area of entrepreneurship and community involvement. And we got a difference maker and a mayoral candidate here tonight. And he's going to share about his candidacy, his desires for why he's running for mayor, and some of the plans he has for Detroit. And so for those who are watching us live, join us in the chat. You got a comment, question, join us, and please like and share. And this is your chance to hear directly without any moderators or, people that get in the way. If you want to have a question, you have a question to ask the candidate. For those, particularly those who live in Detroit, you're registered to vote. The primary election is August the 5th. I am registered here in the city of Detroit. Precinct 167, I believe, at the fire station on 2nd. So I'm going to vote. So he has to convince me who to vote for in this primary. He's got to ask. So again, this is not an official endorsement. This is a platform for you to hear from the candidates here, be informed about this election. An informed voter is a good voter. So you want to know about the issues and be informed. All right. So we have this light thing going on here. So yeah. 1 second, I got to make sure we got to wave a little bit so that it's a motion light.
A whole lot of motion.
Yeah.
Might have to throw something across the room or
Yeah.
something like that.
Let me just stand up for a second.
Nah, it's cool. But, hey, that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of these type of podcasts.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, it's coming. Is it coming
It's
back?
on. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Just want to make sure lighting is good. Yeah.
Is it coming
Okay.
back?
Yeah, that kind of threw me off for a second. Hold on. Here we go. Let me switch this real quick. All right, let me make sure.
Oh yeah. There we go.
All right. Oh, make sure.
No,
All right. Here we go. Okay, so first question, just to let our audience know. Before I get into the questions, let me go on this bio. I want to do this right. Make sure I give your flowers. We have a native Detroiter, and he claims all parts of the city, east, west, and southwest. 3 parts. I normally talk about 2 parts. He corrected me before we talked today and said that we don't be recognizing the Southwest. Yes,
sir.
So if people was asking who is John, what would you tell them?
So John Barlow is someone who loves Detroit, and you gotta love Detroit to run around for mayor of Detroit. But you gotta have a special heart for its people. And where I come from, whether it's been in Southwest Detroit, downriver 48217, which we'll talk about later when you talk about the marathon plan and other things that have been overlooked when it comes to that community. But I grew up on the east side, the west side, going to Bates Academy, Renaissance High School, Wayne State University.
Okay.
I think
Shout out to Wayne State. I went to Wayne State.
I mean, that's one of the most diverse places that allow you to really take part in education, but also understand what it takes to live in the real world and get you know, opportunities to work while you're
Mhm.
going to school, because you're in
Right.
this city, this commuter school
Mhm.
that you just got to still grind and hustle like any other Detroiter.
Mhm.
And so, you know, pledging Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated at Wayne State University,
Okay.
and then moving into not only ministry but community organizing,
Okay.
working with Moses and the Harriet Tubman Center. My grandfather started an organization called Moses, which is one of the most
Okay.
intentional community organizing institutions out there. But then also just taking part in the foreclosure crisis when
Mhm.
United Way was heading that up. Went along and ran for city council in 2009,
Okay.
and that's when my antennas went all the way up, because
Okay.
I started to see where the backdoor politics starts to systematically push us out. And for the
Okay.
last 15 years, I've tried to be quiet to see if our leaders could step up to the plate
Okay.
and really take that obstacle and that project on for leveling the playing field and changing the political landscape. But they haven't. They fall victim to the same sellout program that we've always been victim of, which ultimately gets our resources stripped from us and pushes us out of the city. Designed not by one individual, but by a number of different factors that are
Mhm.
taking place in which we don't control. And so I'm looking to make Detroit owners again. Jonathan Barlow is a businessman advocate, but I'm a
Mhm.
team builder.
Mhm.
I'm a table designer, and the tables that I design make sure that ensures that everyone has a seat at the table. And
Mm.
so I just want to be that leader that everyone can believe in again,
Mhm.
because trust is one of those things that doesn't exist in politics. But I
Right.
don't subscribe to politics.
Right.
If I'm going to do a job, I want to come in and get it done as best as I can, bring the best leaders and thoughts, minds to
Right.
the table. But ultimately, I'm that guy who cares enough about Detroit not to continue to travel and enjoy life, but to come back here and make sure that we bring those who left and keep those who are still here.
All right. All right. All right. That's a great introduction. I want to highlight some things in your bio that just to share our audience. You shared a little bit about your passion and why you're on the path that you are. But for those who don't know, our guest is, of course, a proud son of Detroit, an entrepreneur, civic strategist, policy leader, running to be the city's next mayor. He's a graduate of Renaissance High School. Shout out Renaissance. Um, he's a product of Wayne State University, as he said. So Wayne State, shout out Wayne State. I'm an alumni as well. So it's a pleasure to be in good company. He's also the founder of the Let's Talk Roundtable, a movement uniting residents, labor leaders, and clergy and tech workers around bold, practical solutions. His mayoral platform, Let's Win Detroit, focuses on measurable changes from launching a $500 million business growth fund to a pledge to $10,000 in annual value for every resident through housing, work, and essential. So he talked a little bit about his background, where he's from, a native of Detroit, and so um, so you indicated that your first dabble in politics, you ran for city council.
Yes, sir.
Okay, which district was it? A member at large, or which district was that?
Yeah, it was so long ago you forgot.
Oh yeah, I don't. I moved out of the city at some point and then moved back recently.
No.
Yeah.
Listen. I have a very good, almost photographic memory when it comes back to about 30 years, 30, 35. I remember things when I was 4 years old.
Wow. Okay.
And it's real odd of the type of things, but certain things are just engraved into my memory.
Right.
When I ran 15 years ago,
Mhm.
It was still citywide.
Citywide. Right.
Districts had not become a thing yet.
Yeah. Right.
And,
Okay.
that was some of the best representation we could have had, because nobody only took their post and claimed to be the best. They helped everybody.
Right. Right.
And then they were able to possibly work better as a unit if in that format. And so I'm always a little leery about, even though I like direct representation,
Right.
they could have been responsible for a district.
Right.
Even at the at-large model, they
Right.
just chose not to. That's bad leadership.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, 2009 we ran for city council,
2009.
and we've been fixing legislation from outside the office ever since. And we did pretty well in that race, but we look to do even better and become successful in this race.
Okay. All right. And what inspired you to put your hat in the politics. I mean, it sounded like you were into entrepreneurship. It's like you pledged a fraternity. And what made you like, man, I want to dabble in politics? What drove
Well,
you?
I've probably helped maybe 7 to 15 close friends really build portfolios and businesses that I don't take credit for.
Okay.
I use them as part of my website portfolio so people understand the type of projects I touch. So whether it's a sports agency, whether it's a consulting lobbying firm or government relations firm, whether it's an entertainment and concierge company that I have currently that like go give us problems.
Oh yeah, I could fix that. Go ahead.
Whether it's my travel and hospitality concierge company, or whether it's me just making sure that I can continue to be on the grassroots level and create impact in order for our nonprofits to thrive in a way that they haven't been able to do before. Let's Talk Roundtable is something that you mentioned, in which I've been able to bring leaders to the table in a very fast, direct way. 300 plus leaders last year gathered around 12 different roundtables, everywhere from in Mexican Town to Eastern Market to in at Baker's College right there at the border of Detroit and Royal Oak, to all around the city, trying to understand what citizens and leaders needed to do to collaborate more. A lot of time our thoughts and ideas get stuck in conversation. I like moving to implementation, execution, and collaboration. And that's what I believe keeps me as a standout candidate in this race. I'm no longer going to allow us, because you asked what made me really want to run.
Right.
I no longer want to keep on looking from that behind the scenes or looking from at tables that are further and higher than what Detroit normally considers or is a part of. And I hate to be the one in the room that says wake up, but listen, like all the business matters that I know that impose itself on Detroit, I'm a part of outside of Detroit, and I want to help open the eyes to where we can become an international innovation hub, because too many Detroiters are losing trying to win and being pushed out when they want to stay in. That's not fair.
Wow. Well, you bring up some interesting points about the establishment and not, if you're not connected, you get kind of plans are developed without the citizens' input. And what do you think of some inroads? How do we resolve that to have a city where it's inclusive?
Well, I think for one, people need to understand how cities are designed, work, and get to their future goals.
Okay.
Detroit Future City came in probably around the Ken Cockrell days. People don't understand. Our former mayor left his post and ended up going to work for Detroit Future City. Ken Cockrell was very intricate in making sure that a report was made so that the city of Detroit had some basis for creating a master plan. They took the master plan from there and started to move on it. Now, over the last 12 to 15 years, that plan has been augmented to fit the interests of wherever the administration felt they should place that value or allow for that type of development to occur. Now, what they also have not done, city council nor the current administration, and I'll say it, Duggan, because everybody want to act like he a boogeyman or something. I ain't scared of nobody. Listen, at the end of the day, what they haven't done, and again, when I shoot shots and when I make jokes and when I say certain things to spark some type of engagement, it's not to say that anybody has done a bad job. If you've served and you've done this job, I commend everybody for doing a good job, for doing what they've done. But bad ain't an okay job ain't a good job, and a good job ain't a great job, and people still hurting, then we ain't doing enough. And so what I really want to say to when it comes to you were talking about not housing, you were talking about
how to create an inclusive city.
The inclusive. I was talking about the master plan. Well, when it comes to how citizens are engaged in the whole spectrum of things, we have to understand where our assets are. We have to understand where our prime real estate currently is, because when an emerging industry or development comes into this area, we have to know how to play off of that, or circle around it and surround it, so that we can not only help either that development thrive, but the community at whole thrive.
Right.
And so people just need to understand a little bit more and look at the master plan more. But they also need to understand how to get prepared. And that's why we need a leader who's going to hold the hand. Because when they see a mayor come out of the Manugian mansion or out of the 11th floor of the city hall, they know that they care. They know that it's possible. They know that they have direct access. And that's why I want to be the most accessible, the most loving, but then also the most educating mayor that the city has ever seen. They've had a lot of people to quote unquote fight or quote unquote make it work. Nothing's working, and fighting ain't getting us nowhere. So I think we need to change the whole paradigm.
Now, when you say nothing's working, what do you can you elaborate on that? What do
well,
you
the
think?
system is, we're still allowing families and individuals and whole communities to fall through the drain.
Okay.
And we have to plug the drain. This is what I mean by that. How do we have over 100,000 students leave DPS, but we still have 10% of them homeless?
Okay.
We just lost well over twice the size of the current population of DPS students.
Right.
But we still have 10% that are homeless. Something's wrong. If we got smaller, we should have got better, right?
Right.
And, but what happens is that we see $1 million budgets and $1,000 results. And that's only because we don't hold our leaders accountable. We don't do the follow through. They promise us something. We go back to our shells and our homes. And we think they're going to follow through with what we said. But they can procrastinate. They can get distracted. And again, I'm not blaming anyone. All I can say is that we can do better than what we're doing right now. And everybody's not included. If everybody's not at that table to make it inclusive, to make things equitable, and to make things just, then our communities won't make Detroit community again.
Okay. All right. I like that. So we made some progress, we made some inroads, but we can do better. And you highlighted what's going on in some of the public schools, charter schools, and public schools as well. I want to talk about some of the themes that's going on in this campaign. And I've been a Detroiter, native Detroiter growing up. I was here during the Dennis Archer years, as well as Kwame. I moved out for a bit and came back. So I've been a student at Wayne State when it was our mascot was the Tartars. I'm aging myself. And the area wasn't called Midtown. It was called the Cass Corridor. And there was a lot of stuff going on in the Cass Corridor. So now we have Midtown, the financial district, downtown. We've seen all this development. And one of the themes in this campaign is that downtown has been thriving, but the neighborhoods have been lacking. What do you say to that? Well, how would you fix that?
I think that's a great question, Charles. And for one, I meant to say this in the beginning. One, thank you just for having me on.
Yes.
Because I think that you are part of the lifeline and the post that needs to be identified and pointed to and referenced when we talk about information sharing and really getting things off the ground inside of the community. Because if we really pay attention to how we can tell our stories, and we pay attention to the fact that the media continues to create its own narrative based off of whoever is determining or deciding what news and how to get it out to the community, then we're always going to be failing ourselves. So first of all, in order to get the communities good while downtown is getting good, we got to make sure that we're telling our own story. Because what our current administration has done has made this city look good on paper.
Right.
It looks good. It looks good in the movies in the movie scene. But it doesn't feel good to Detroiters. And the issue that I have with that is we can't have leaders that just sit there and act like everything is all good. And that's what we have right now. And so when we're in a crisis, we have to act like we're in a crisis. And that means that all hands on deck, blow the whistle, ring the alarm, sound the bell, get everybody working hand in hand as though we have something to go to war for. And it doesn't have to be warring against ourselves, but it's war on there's a war being played and a war being imposed on the community.
Wow.
We have to literally stop this war on community. Because what's happening is ultimately when our leaders decide what it is, when the major investors decide how the administration flows, then it creates a narrative that gives them benefit. Therefore, they can create more housing quicker than we can.
Right.
That means it can ultimately own its smaller grocery stores or bring in a Whole Foods once it establishes control over that market. That's why, see, they had control over Brush Park. That's why they, and DMC cornered everything off. That's why they could put a Whole Foods right there.
Right.
Target came and then left. And so you got to look at how the development goes. But what I will say is this: it's just not a black thing.
Right, right.
It's not a black thing. It's a green thing.
Okay.
Because I have just as many European descent, Hispanic descent, and other communities that are experiencing the same tragic pushing out that us African American Detroiters, legacy Detroiters, feel that's occurring. So what do I do to get them ready? This is what my plan calls for, because I know you were ready for it. It's 11 pages. It's on my website. Feel free to go to the website. It's called Reach Every Family. What it's designed to do is bring the most money, jobs, and homes into the city. It's designed to put a moratorium on all this housing land bank mess and get everything working for that legacy Detroiters can invest in expanding the homeless prevention program and getting housing off the ground. It's very systematic. Then we get mobility at the same time working by getting Detroiters working in conjunction with the buses so that we don't have to double and invest so much in our bus routes, but can invest directly back into homes and residents in the city. I'm going to also design the citizen dashboard to bring incentives to a very notification and app-friendly way, so that when you do something for the city, we can incentivize you immediately, and that's going to trickle up into bringing employees back into the city and incentivizing them for being there. So it's a very methodical approach, and making sure that everyone stays informed, making sure that we can continue to do the things that's necessary to bring everybody to the table. But it also ensures that we create these community innovation hubs and create these wellness centers within our communities in order for us to not only create more generational wealth, but create pathways for trauma to solution in order for our families to have wraparound services that we should have had down at Rosa Parks Terminal by now, but we're definitely under my administration having the community.
All right. I think we should celebrate this plan. And we have our audience can see the website.
Yeah.
And they can click on the platforms.
Yeah, and you can click on the plan. So click on platform again, and then you'll see plan pop up, and then that
right here.
No, in the menu. Just click on
right there.
Yeah, the plan.
Okay, there we go.
That's really, see, everybody's been asking me why do I keep on saying plan? Well, that's the plan. Okay. 11 pages. Keep on going. Scroll for me. It's a big summary on page
Detroit expansion investment strategy. Okay.
Yeah, it's not just downtown.
Investment strategy highlight business growth, job workforce development. What would you say particularly about housing in your plan?
Well, again, like I just said, and maybe I said it too quick.
I see it on the screen.
The outside of the community land trust, meaning that we need to make sure that we put certain blocks and certain properties into a land trust that allows it not to rise with the market values. But also, more importantly, we have to understand the different tiers of what is deemed or categorized as affordable housing. And then we have to play the game that they're playing with us. If they say AMI is this and we need lower tiers for AMI, then we need to impose that on the developers that come in and say, this is the city's AMI. You need to work like this. And so we have to be very intentional and very methodical about how we go about it. I will say this: nobody, again, back to the 500 families that want to get off the streets in the first 100 days that come out of DPS. Well, get this: I'm pretty sure you've known a few friends that have bought houses out the land bank before, or at least tried to. Right? It's a hard process. Well, part of this is making sure that we fast track and get them some homes, and because we know that they can rehab them quickly. Instead of demoing them with ARPA money, we're going to rehab them, and then we're going to give them tax incentives to bring a homeless family into their home. Now, what's that going to do? After that 12 months, we're going to increase the property tax base, because no longer are they getting an incentive because they took care of the family. That family is going to go get a home now. Now we have since we sustained that family and got them a cushion, Now they're going to start to contribute more to the tech space. We're generating revenue by helping ourselves.
Okay.
That means pulling ourselves by the bootstraps. But there's plenty more within there, and you can always ask questions, or the audience can always email me. I respond pretty quickly.
Okay. All right. So your plan there for investments, business growth, tax incentives, investment and attraction retention. Okay. Your plan talks about business retention and expansion strategy, major industry growth sectors. Okay. All right. So the whole plan's there, jobs. I like that. Yep.
Nothing this comprehensive has been put out. They would never commit to this because, one, they don't know how to design it, but two, they don't understand how all of it works in conjunction with each other. And that's why I'm glad to do these podcasts. I've done probably about 15 to 20. Well, maybe 15. I won't say 20 just yet.
Right.
But around 15 podcasts thus far, because I enjoy talking to you all, because you all have an audience that's willing to listen, willing to engage,
right,
and ultimately you all carry the pulse of the city. And that's why I just thank you and give you so much kudos for not only being professional, doing things in a very boutique way, but in a boutique way that keeps you in control of your brand, doing what's necessary to control your story. And that's what we all need to commit to.
Well, thank you. The audience can see how your website that I just showed is votebarlow.com. You can follow on LinkedIn, Facebook at John Barlow on LinkedIn and Facebook. And you can email him at betterbarlow@gmail.com.
Yeah, you gave him my personal email too.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
That's all right. I let you show me that before the thing. I didn't even catch it.
Oh, okay.
That's the first time anybody had my personal. No, they can catch me at info@votebarlow.com.
Info@votebarlow. Okay.
Everything aggregates. I catch everything. Everything goes through me. I screen it, but that's funny. I didn't notice that.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure. Okay.
No, that's cool.
Okay. So that's how. Now, as you've been campaigning, what some of the questions, or what have you been seeing? What are some of the voters, their concerns? Have they been expressing to you?
Well, one of the biggest things is the $600 million that was stolen in taxes. They overtaxed the citizens $600 million. They also are continuing to try to raise DTE prices and utility fees. Both of those things are terrible and continue to push Detroiters out. That's what I mean by pushing Detroiters out. And then the drainage fees have never been seen before, and all of a sudden it started coming on the bills.
And that's coming on the water bill.
That's coming on the water bill.
Expressed those concerns.
People have totally expressed those concerns. But more important than anything is programming. We don't have enough, and this is why you need a leader that understands how to connect the dots and help create atmospheres for us to thrive as a whole. Because we don't have programming in our seniors, we don't have programs for our youth, especially year-long apprenticeships and internship programs. I got one of my biggest starts by selling records and vinyl off of Finkel back in the day at Kendrick's, if you're familiar with it. And so I just believe wholeheartedly in making sure that we give the most opportunities and exposure to our next generation, but also being able to retool quickly our working class. Bringing the most jobs that can very well modernize what we already know how to do is paramount. And bringing in companies that provide those opportunities needs to be done very skillfully, and it needs to be done quick in terms of bringing 3 to 4 major corporations into the city on a 180-day revolving basis. And when I say major, I'm not talking about Amazon and Google. I'm talking about companies that you probably never hear of, but use every day, that's making parts in flat screen TVs, computers, or anything like that. Because when we become an international innovation hub, I'm going for all the raw materials in the world. I'm getting them coming to the city so that we can manufacture it in a way that's totally innovative, unlike any other city in the world.
Right. Wow. Well, I would say you have a lot of aspirations and plans. How are you feeling about the campaign? I know it's there's been some forums that have included most of the candidates that's been on the ticket, on the ballot. I know that some forums do a polling system, and you may not have been on the panel. So what's your feelings about the election and where things are going, and how do you feel about connecting with the voters?
Well, I think it's just not me. Remember I said I don't see color. I don't see black, white, yellow, purple. Any color. I think the world sees green, and that's how we have to approach it a lot of times. Even though I like approaching it in red, like love, right? I like approaching it from a more godly and spiritual perspective, because that's how I do ministry. That's how I live. That's how I work.
Okay.
But when it comes to how you have to approach it and play the game, sometimes it has to be from a green lens. And so when you really talk about economics and we really talk about who's being locked out. Guess who got locked out of Mackinac Policy Conference? All the nonprofits that couldn't afford to send someone up there.
Send up there to represent, to talk about
the need, the legislative
engage with the stakeholders. Okay.
So get this: if we're looking for government and legislators to help people, then why are we locking them out the conversation of people who are on the front lines that need the resources to do it? That does not make sense. So it's not just people like me that might be a candidate for mayor who's done their due diligence to be on the ballot, who is the only businessman that has done things in advocacy and in business that none of them can talk about. Matter of fact, I'll tell you one better. They didn't have anybody up there in Mackinac talking about sports and NIL things. And I know they haven't because they don't have anybody in that space.
Right.
And so when I talk about Detroiters, legacy Detroiters who have left the city and haven't had a chance to come back just yet, this is talent that are at the top of film studios, at the top of their game in the industries that they represent, and will be able to help me navigate a world to bring the most attention and the most capital and the most exposure and the most jobs back to this city that you've ever seen before. Get this. If y'all thought Coleman Young did something to get the world's attention, put me in that seat.
All right.
I guarantee it. It will be like something never before. We're going to make history if I get it.
All right. So he's telling the voters here, put John Barlow in the seat if you want to see change. And this is not an endorsement. This is a platform for you to hear about the candidates. And I see there's people who's been joining us live. If you have a question or comment, here's your chance to engage one of the mayoral candidates, especially if you are in the city. And you want to participate in the primary. One of the concerns that I always see is there's a low turnout in the primary and it's voter apathy. And as you've been campaigning and engaging with the voters, what do you think can address that? Why do you think there's people apathetic and feel like their vote doesn't count?
I talked about this earlier. Everybody didn't have a grandmother like me who grew up with Rosa Parks. And then everybody didn't have a mother who witnessed their mother really part of that struggle. Everybody didn't have that. So I take a different purpose.
Right.
I take on a different purpose and a different motivation factor when it comes to changing the social ills and the constructs that have held us down. And so that forces me to engage like no other.
Okay.
So I can't just vote. I have to not only vote, but I have to get involved. I have to make impact. I have to move the needle on something, because if not, we become stagnant and we start to digress and regress in the situation and in community and society, and that's not going to benefit us because everybody's constantly trying to get an edge on everyone else. We have to either be peacemakers or landscape levelers in order to make sure we always have an opportunity. And so, quite honestly, when it comes to just how I approach life, how I approach community, how I approach the world.
Right.
I just want to make sure that, no one gets overlooked.
Right.
For far too long, we look over people in a way that really doesn't benefit the whole. We look over people. I can't tell you about the vets that I have in homes. Is a gentleman on 8 Mile in Southfield who his wife had a brain aneurysm. Wow. And then he lost his only, because taking care of her, not only was he getting $1,000 extra taken out of his pension check because he made the wrong moves due to the wrong advice at the VA center, but he lost his transportation truck that he was doing jobs out of. So now he lost his small business, still taking care of his wife, still getting pushed out with all his utilities, water, and everything else, property taxes. How do we expect someone like that to feel supported or even stay out of depression?
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I can't overlook anyone, and I have
Okay.
to stay steadfast to really making change.
All right. Well, we want to celebrate your grandmother for encouraging you to be civically engaged. And I just admire your compassion and empathy, because there are people who fall through the cracks. And then sometimes we can be judgmental. We may see them on the street sleeping, or maybe even asking for $1 here and there, but we don't know their story, what happened
Man,
in the backdrop.
Man, Charles,
And
I hate to pause you, man, because this really hit me the other day.
Yeah.
It was actually 2 days ago. And I'll tell you these two quick stories. I'm at a senior home at Jenny's Senior Home.
Yeah.
And the lady says, listen, the old people used to tell me, they don't take care of us. Ain't nobody looking out for us. She said, I didn't believe them. She said, now that I'm a senior, she said, it's all hitting home. But then what really tugged me, because people, all the older people, and listen, to all the older people out there, my seniors, I love you to death. Please don't look at my facial expressions in these debates and these forums, because I'm very dramatic. I'm very enthusiastic and passionate about changing this whole system.
Mm-hmm.
So please don't hold that against me. But the reason why I sometimes make the wrong faces and stuff, because I'm disgusted, and sometimes I even get a little angry. Because I walked down there on Mac yesterday in Cass Corridor. You talked about Cass Corridor on 3rd on Anthony Wayne Drive, there on Mac and 3rd. Yeah, and you know what sits right there, right?
Well, isn't there a Detroit Rescue Mission?
There you go, Charles. You ain't missing a beat there.
Okay, yeah.
But guess what? 2 young men walk out of there. You know what age they were?
I have been seeing some like men in their 20s.
They were my age.
Okay,
I'm 40.
All right.
They were actually,
you look 20.
they were actually a little younger, 30, man.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well groomed, well dressed. We ain't talking about your mental health patient. We're not talking about someone on drugs. We're not talking about someone who just got out of jail. We're talking about someone who just moved back to the city and their family doesn't want them staying with them.
Wow.
And that has experience in automotive, and then another one had experience in some other industries. But they're out there trying to make it on their own and trying to figure out what they can do to get to the next level and become sustainable themselves. And nobody's helping them. But that's what I mean.
Right. What services you think will be in place that could help those 2 young men?
Well, you need wraparound services.
Okay.
Everything that they're not getting at the Detroit Rescue Mission, I know DRMM has been doing a great job over the years, but we're not, if you don't have a leader connecting the dots saying, listen, you all need to be working with them because we need to catch this population here. And if we're not clinically addressing every individual and family, as though we're trying to make sure that they need to win so that everybody can win, it's not going to happen. And that's what hurts me so much, that Detroit might be insane enough to go for popularity in high school politics when I got young men that should be the leaders and the kings of our community having to beg for some type of help just to feel that they are a part of society.
Okay.
We are losing them by the boatloads.
Okay. All right. Man, that's a powerful story. Just real life experiences. And you've been out in the trenches, in the neighborhoods. As we wrap things up, and I want you can look right in that camera.
Yeah.
And just tell people who are going to watch this tonight, the replay. Why should they vote for you, and what would you say to them to encourage them to even participate in this election?
Man, I think this is a great ending. One, thank you for that last question. And to all my Detroiters, just like I told you on Channel 7 and Carolyn Clifford, this ain't fake. This ain't all. This is the most authentic and genuine type of candidate that you will ever have. I don't have any beef with one, so I can work with everyone. I talk facts. I'm the most transparent and accountable person, and I'm passionate about this because I love Detroit. And when I say I love Detroit, I love her and her people. I love the spirit of Detroit, and I love the hustle and grind of Detroit so much that I'd rather risk living the abundance and living in God's favor every day in other states and other places of the world, because I feel like there's a job to do right here. I believe that with people like Brother Charles and people like yourself, we can really change the system if we all get engaged. I believe everyone needs to go out and vote, starting during early voting. Don't wait till election day. Right. That day can bring anything your way. I need you to start early. Right after 4th of July, I believe, is when voting starts. Absentee ballots go out on the 22nd, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. And so that means every young person, while you're at home doing nothing, while you're with your friends saying, what are we going for lunch? What are we doing for lunch? And let's go vote at the same time.
All right.
Skip one trip to the store. Listen, if you tired of going to Coney Island and the liquor store to get chips and stuff to eat for dinner and stuff like that because you can't find a good meal or a hot meal, then think about that when it's voting time and get somebody that's going to back you and make sure that no family goes hungry, no kids go hungry, and that every family has a right to win and an opportunity to win. And let's stop this war on community. They're coming to push us out. We got the chance to hold our ground. Let's keep the fort up and let's win, Detroit.
All right. A couple of more questions as we close. As we're getting close to the primary, things are getting tense with the
candidates.
There's been some, last debate that was on Channel 4. There's been some, body shots out there. And what's your thoughts about, the contention, and what do you have to say about what some of the words with the other candidates?
Well, let's be honest with you, because I talk about anybody, anywhere, anytime, or give my opinion. Rather, I don't talk about them. Let's call facts. The two councilwomen, or two former councilwomen presidents, they've been fighting from the beginning.
Okay,
they've been going back and forth. So either one of them throwing blows at either one of them or at anyone else is something that they do.
Okay.
But they do it in a very demeaning way.
Mm-hmm.
They do it in a way that doesn't have any substance or proof, and people are clawing. Some of the candidates are just clawing at something to say about the other one.
Okay.
Nobody has done their real research. Everybody's kind of been on the surface, and if people start reading into what I'm saying and reading into some of the hints and breadcrumbs that I'm leaving out there, just because I don't want to call people out direct, because then I'm gonna have to say some more names, and people go, and then people go get mad, and then they go really blackball.
Some people are into the drama.
Yeah, they're already trying to blackball me out the system. That's why I'm not in half the forums already, because I don't mind saying the names. But what I will say is this: what I believe took place on the debate stage at Wayne State with Channel 4 between the candidates. I think it's just they're focusing on, because none of them has no substance the whole forum.
Okay.
Get this: if one of them actually had a plan, if one of them showed you a document like you just saw with me, then we will be comparing plan to plan.
Right.
Like, get this: if one of them has something as interesting as Project 2025, but positive, right?
Right.
We will be raving about it. Right. Nobody has given a plan. So all we're dealing with is the mess.
Personality.
We're dealing with the mess. Popularity politics. Yeah. And I'm sitting here like, are we going to read the homework, or we just go talk stuff about the homework and like we don't want to do it? Man,
okay.
Come on, man.
Well, I like your take on what happened, and that we're kind of veering off, instead of talking about substance of plans, comparing plan to plan, because everybody may not agree with the strategy. There's now we get into possible personal attacks, and I like the fact that you have a plan that people can look at, and hopefully people can find out what the candidate's plan. My last question, and I'm not saying I don't know what the turnout's going to be. You've been at this before with running for city council, now mayor. You've been doing things in the community. From the clergy side, as well as community organizing. If things don't turn out the way you want, what is your future? What will be your next thing you would do?
Well, like I keep on trying to remind everybody is that I win regardless.
Okay.
I want Detroit to win.
Okay.
See, when it's time for me to get an issue resolved, or if a client wants something done, they come see me and I get it done.
Okay.
If not, I'm trying to move the needle to make sure that we can fight the bigger fight, which is the war on community.
Okay.
And what that means simply is this: there's national initiatives like mass incarceration, decriminalization, and prisoner reentry that needs to be have more synergy. Mm-hmm. Those are all in different places of the country. None of it gets to Detroit, and so bringing national initiatives, financial literacy initiatives, those that don't prey on us, but actually support us and help us get to the next level of life.
Okay.
Those are the type of things that I participate in.
Okay.
And then I still have to keep my business relationships intact, just in case someone calls on me from the city to bring a big investor or a big developer in, because that's who normally comes to me. No developer and no money is going to come to the city unless someone's in place that they can trust. And I'm not the person that they can buy. I'm the person that they can trust.
All right.
And there's a big difference.
All right. So it sounds like I like what you said. Wherever the outcome is, and I wish you the best. You say you win because you want Detroit to win.
Yeah.
And would it be fair to say after the primary, would you endorse a candidate, or you would just kind of let things? Well, you don't have to.
I'll answer that now.
Okay.
If anybody believes what I said at Charlie the Dust and Karen Dumas, that took place so quick. I was not really ready for that question, and so I just played that question like I would if you asked me a crazy question and I didn't want to answer it. They said they wanted us to say a name at the Charlie the Dust. Fred looked at me and said, "Say my name." I said, "Fred told me to say Fred."
Right.
And then they kept on forcing me to say a name, so I said Fred. Oh, listen, I love Fred, but that wouldn't be my choice to endorse. If he made it through and there were possibly one other person he was going to get, I might endorse him. But my preferred candidate to endorse, depending on who wins, is based off of who really has the heart of the people and is going to make sure that I have a constant seat at the table to defend the people and advocate for the people, regardless when it comes time to it, and that I can help the city innovate way further down the road than possible. So no, we would consider endorsing, but it's no one immediately that we're looking to endorse, because simply none of them have presented me a plan. That's why I'm in the race right now. I asked them all for a plan a year and a half ago. None of them gave me a plan. So I was like, all right, I'll give you a plan and I'll get in the race so we can figure this out.
All right. Well, it sounds like, and I wish you the best, that the future is bright for you. Either way, I like the work in what you're doing, and I see a bright political future for you. Maybe if you're not in the runoff in November, maybe you'll be a part of administration or doing other great work. We do have a question. Thank you for those who are watching. One? Yeah, we got a question. Thank you for those who are supporting independent media. Please, if you're finding value in what we're doing, please like, share, subscribe, share with your friends, family. We want to show the social media streets that positive content like this is important too. So we have, thank you, James Cullum. He asked the questions. Why are they blockballing you? Who is behind it? So that's the question. So I'll let you address that.
So I mentioned it earlier in the podcast, in the podcast, that it's not about who's blackballing me, even though they are. It's more so about what they're trying to accomplish.
Okay.
If everybody has read into everything, they've properly positioned Mary Sheffield as first. Now, it's not because she was able to raise $500,000 to $1 million from Duggan and Gilbert. It's because Duggan and Gilbert have controlled the media for the last 12 to 15 years. By doing that, anybody who's attached to the live stream that took place at Mackinac, or the live stream that took place with the WDIV debate, or any of the other one or two debates that took place with Freeman Hendricks or with the Union AFL-CIO, it's systematically done by those leaders and those who they're attached to, in which they can keep us away from being giving us an equitable chance, or a democratic chance, which means that everybody gets heard, right?
Everybody gets
heard. So to answer your question, look at the major investors. Get this, I'm sacrificing myself and coming on all these podcasts and on these interviews, basically saying I'm going after the biggest fish that we could possibly fry for doing us wrong. Now, I'm not saying Gilbert or Duggan has totally, how should I say it, totally killed us and stripped everything from us, because they've given back. But what I'm also saying is they want to continue to keep control. And that's a very, very, very concerning issue for me. And I cannot stand back and let legacy Detroiters continue to invest in Detroit or think they're going to get a return on their investment. And they're systematically getting pushed out. I've seen too many people buy properties and things of that nature only not to be able to do anything with them. I got churches right now who has a whole block that they want to finish buying. They need one more property, but they can't find a person in Mississippi. Why is the city not going to find that person in Mississippi trying to swap a property out?
Right.
It doesn't make sense. And so who's trying to blackball me? Everybody who don't want me to say what I just said.
Well, it sounds like you have a heart for the people. You want to make sure all people are included in the plans and the strategies, and all stakeholders are involved. And I like that, and I just want to commend you for that. This platform is here to share, highlight difference makers who are doing great things in the city, who are trying to move forward. Of course, everybody may not agree. Everybody's policy may not be looked at with a positive, but at least it's all about let's share our ideas and let's talk about things and see how we can work together so that all of us can win in Detroit. What's your closing comment as we close out?
Well, let me say just yet again, thank you, Charles, for giving me the opportunity to come on and just share with you. I hope you get a few more calls from some other candidates that want to come on and share their story.
Yes.
As well as when you talk about difference makers, not only am I different, I'm a different candidate, something that you might not see in a very, very long time. If I don't plan on just running for offices. That's right. And 15 years ago, I decided not to. But I'm very different. Mm-hmm. And I think God has held me and kept me in the back for such a time as this. Okay. And over the last 48, 72 hours, when I really thought things might be going, and you asked about the campaign going left or kind of going in the bad turnout prediction, I have hope. Right. And I'm going to get that hope to the people. Right. I'm going to keep on giving it to them. But most of all, I love Detroit. I love her and her people. I want to continue to work for them. I have the experience, the diverse experience, the national and international experience. If you only knew some of my international experiences, if you knew some of the people that I help internationally that are from here, and if you knew how much we do in Miami, Atlanta, and DC, and get this, I wish Detroit would elect somebody else. I wish Detroit would, because I would go and show them a life that if they paid attention during COVID and before, that I live, and they'd be like, oh, you can call so-and-so, or you can call CeeLo, or you can call the best that Las Vegas or the entertainment capitals can bring and offer. I can do it and more. Just vote John Barlow, John for mayor.
All right. So that wraps up our podcast. I'm going to show again the slide here. You can go to his website, votebarlow.com. You can follow him on socials. That's his personal email, but you want to go to, what's the email?
Info@votebarlow.com.
Info@votebarlow.com. His plans are out there, his platforms. So reach out to them, get informed, and most importantly, go and vote. So thank you again for being on this podcast.
Thanks, Charles.
All right. Hey, everyone. This is Charlie the Plug, your host of the Detroit Metro Plug podcast, powered by Empower You Ventures. Don't forget to subscribe so you too can be a part of the biggest empowerment network on YouTube and Facebook. We bring you weekly interviews of Detroit difference makers in the area of entrepreneurship, community involvement, also reaction to business news and community news. This does not happen without your support. Thank you.